And this is it. Today we conclude another series, one that was a long time in the making. Really since before I even started this channel, man. Back when I just started collecting once again. And it is the last part of my collection showcase as it stands currently. Now, today, spring of 2020, we have looked at everything, except for the last two shelves up here and what's up above me with the big Titans. So from Micromasters and Minibots to Titans. That's going to be our focus in the final part this time around in the latest GotBot True review. Hey one, hey all, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, your humble host, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, please like, comment, share, of course subscribe, and while you're at it, man, that's right, hit that notification bell please, because it lets you know when content of all sorts goes up here on the channel. Helps me out a ton. Check out Machinery of Man, the Everything Factor, Transformers, Collectors, NL, and the Autobot family, and have a look for me everywhere across social media. All those links down in the description below. And as I've said now a couple of times, this is the last part of my collection showcase. This is everything I currently have in my collection. Now, to be fair, there's a few things that have, been done as pre-orders. There's a couple of things on the way. And I think anybody's collection is always a bit of an evolving beast, so to speak. But for a long time, people have asked me to show off my collection. That's what I've been doing. This is your chance to see exactly what I have and what I don't have. And I'm happy to be able to say that for all the work that went into doing this, this is the last part. This is the, I guess, showcase finale, if you will. So, without any further ado, you know what I'm going to say. Let's head over to the shelf and take a closer look at some of these bots. And here, in the second to last shelf, before we look at the very top of the display, we have a lot of Minibots and Micromasters and the like. Some Target Masters thrown in there as well. We're starting right at the very end. We have Cosmos. This is the Generations one, not the Titans Return one. Whichever one you have, even if you have the Legends one, it's fantastic. It's an excellent Cosmos. I've heard some people complain about it. I don't get it. The articulation is amazing. For as small as it is, the transformation is excellent. The kibble that you would think would get in the way does not at all get in the way of anything. It's excellent. Then we have Swerve, who's pretty good in his own right. We have Tailgate, as well as the Autobot clones. They were a bit of a chore to get. Fastlane and Cloudraker, of course. Down front we have Leon. We have some of the Micromasters in there. I'm not going to remember all of their names. Trip Up and Roadhugger and Swindler, and we have Minimus Ambus there. Minimus Ambus I count as a Micromaster now. We have Shuffler, who's one of the Headmaster Juniors. Ground Pounder, I think is his name. We have Gears back there. Power Glide. I love Power Glide. Doesn't have a bicep swivel. Don't care. We have Outback, I thought was done really well as well. What else do we have here? A couple of more of the Micromaster lads. Flak is one of them. I don't know the names of the other two offhand. We have Flanker, we have Payload, we have Big Daddy or Daddy-O, if you will. We have Countdown, who I'm lucky to have. I'm glad that I have Countdown. I don't own Siege Omega Supreme. I was lucky enough to review him and compare him with Ultima Guard, and friend of the channel Cyril really was kind enough to let me have Countdown. So very grateful, because I really want him. He will go great with Skylinks, baby. We have Wincharger back there. One of my favorites is Beachcomber, as is Sea Spray. We could really use a new Huffer and a new Pipes, or an alternate Huffer and an alternate Pipes. Here's the thing, I don't want deluxes done of all these guys. I think that these Legends knocked it out of the ballpark. They're the right size for my sense of scale. I think they're grand. Going over, we have Cindersaur, who's a reuse of Slash. I love Cindersaur, love all the paint, love the yellow and the purple. We have the Decepticon clones being Wingspan and Pounce. In the back we have Viper, who is kind of a crossover with G.I. Joe, and Viper is every use of Power Glide. Down front we have not one, not two, but three Venons, which is supposed to be Venom. They came with the Legend Seekers, the ones that I now have is blue, green, and orange. So I kept three of them and said, hey, you know what, they could just kind of hang out and be support for the Insecticons maybe, rather than an actual Venom, because what these guys really are is a purple repaint of the little tiny Waspinator that came with the Legend Starscream, and there's a lot of soft rubbery plastic. They're not great. We have other guys here like Visper or Whisper. I'm going to use him as Visper. I'm going to say it's the Combiner Whisper's cousin. Night Flight is there. I think I said Night Flight earlier. I was mistaken. I'm not even sure of all the names sometimes. We have... who else do we have down there? We have Chop Shop down there. We have three of the... I have a trio of Titans Return Sharkticons and a trio of the Cyberverse Sharkticons. Now the Cyberverse were sold as as warrior class, I guess, which is basically supposed to be like deluxe, but they're not really deluxe. They're, I guess they're more than a Legends, but they're not a deluxe. Now, when you pick them up, man, do they feel light? They don't feel good, but they look great. We have one last Quintesson in the midst there. Just one. We have two of the Legion class Viacons, the only Viacons I have. I've never had the deluxe class Viacons, never even held them. We have Fangry down there. We have a custom painted Transformers Prime hard shell painted in black, purple, and yellow to match the other Insecticons. And then we have our traditional Insecticon trio of Kickback, who wasn't real abundant here, but I was lucky enough to find him, Bombshell, and of course, Shrapnel or Scrapnel, depending on the name that you like to go by. I think that this era of Legends class offerings knocked it absolutely out of the ballpark. And here we are with the last shelf before we look at everything on top. And this one's pretty small actually, but probably the most important because it houses none other than Squeaks. That's right, Squeaks, the most important Transformer that there ever was, right? I mean, it's the Transformers' answer to BB-8. Let's be honest, that's what they were going for. Did it land? Not really. Not really. I mean, I guess it's, you know, he's a lovable little lad, but like, he did not become what they'd hoped he would become at all. More importantly on this shelf, we have Crash Bash there. You know, I don't know if that's important to you, but we do have Generations Selects Ricochet, and I done a custom Target Master partner for him who's on his back as his life support, just as Nebulon should be, and that's what I call him, Nebulon, because it was the easiest version to use, because there's a lot of mess with that whole name. I mean, sometimes he's Stepper, and the Target Master partner, that's Ricochet. Sometimes it's Nightstick, sometimes it's Nebulon. There's a whole mess there. We, of course, have Earthrise, my custom Earthrise Optimus Prime. I've shown him off, talked about him a few times with the Second Chance trailer. I absolutely adore how this turned out. We have Movie Ratchet. Starscream wife thought that he looked spot on. She liked him. She got him for me. I think it was for a birthday, if I'm not mistaken. And I was happy to get him. I actually use him as Remedy. Remedy is the doctor that trained Ratchet as per the Covenant of Promise. And I know that some people have talked about like different characters that trained Ratchet and blah blah blah. I'm gonna go by the Covenant. Simple as that. If we move on along here, we have the Titan Master Repugnus. I got him, I guess, you know, and I have the head that came with the deluxe class guy put in there because the legs are on that backwards. If you open that Titan Master out, his legs are on backwards. So the actual head, which I think was the better head, that came with the little guy is the head that I've actually got used on the deluxe, and I painted the eyes a proper blue. Big fan of Repugnus. I love that we live in an era and a world where we have updated Monsterbots of all things. So Repugnus, of course, Twinferno, better known to a lot of us as Double Cross, and Grotusk right in the back. Grotusk was so... oh, he was so hard to get. I'm so happy I managed to score him, but he was a challenge, and I love him. He might be my favorite use of the mold. And then, of course, we have Rodimus Prime with his Target Master partner, even though the Target Master partner should really go with Hot Rod. I don't think this is a great Rodimus Prime. It's a good vehicle mode, but there's so much here that I don't like about it. Nevertheless, I use it as my Rodimus Prime because it does look accurate. It looks the part. I just wish that it functioned better. So that's it. That's all the shelves. Only thing left is what's on the very tippy top, the biggest of the big. And so we finally reached the end, the pièce de résistance for my collection, the very tippy top of the display. But before we look at the big boys, we just have to take a few moments and go down, and start here. So what do we have here? Well, we have two of the little Battle Masters, one being Lionizer, the other being, I think it's Dazzle Strike, I think is the name of it. It came with green light. Next to that we have one of the Scraplets that came out in the Cyberverse line. Next to that we have two of the Titan Masters. One is the head of Magnus Prime. The other is by right Solus Prime, apparently. We also, you will notice, there have the KBB model kit of Grimlock. Behind the two Titan Masters, kind of hidden away, there is a, I don't know what you call them, one of those quick converter things, and it's a super deformed hound head. And when you pull up on the Autobot symbol on the top, his lower body like flips around and changes to the robot. We have three of the Autobot Pretenders. My very favorite of all of them would be Metal Hawk over there. Of course, when they came out of their Pretender shells, they got bigger, so I kind of, I'm really happy that when Metal Hawk's in his shell, I have this as the Pretender shell, but then I have a full deluxe for the robot by rights that's inside. I wish that I had it for the other two. Maybe one day. As we move across, you'll see that I have Armada Unicron there, who is probably going to end up being replaced. Of course, he has the little dead-end moon with him. A deluxe Unicron is on top of him right now. I found the deluxe Unicron while thrifting. I was like, you know, $2, why not? Why not? He's weird, but he's kind of charming too. Then we have a KO of Animated Optimus Prime, my very first review. Next to that we have Death's Head, and some would say, hey, shouldn't that be in a Marvel display? But there's a connection with Transformers, so I put it there. There's a KO of a Micromaster. We also have, this came from Dr. Wu. This is why I don't mind Megatron being a tank, because if I want him to be his G1 alt mode, I use this and just, you know, put it in the hand of someone. Boom. There you go. We have a bunch of these little figurines. They came from like a dollar store. We have Movie Optimus, Transformers Prime Bumblebee, Transformers Prime Megatron, G1 Starscream, and Sentinel Prime. I showed all of these before, like an odds and ends type of review. Then when we go over here, we have the three Rainmakers, Ion Storm, Nova Storm, and Acid Storm, as well as, maybe you can see him there, as well as Red Wing. And next to Red Wing, there's this car. It's a die-cast car. It has all of the markings and much of the coloration for exhaust. So I kind of just leave it there because it was something I had as a kid and didn't realize. Kind of any sort of a connection. Again, I showed all of that one time or another in like odds and ends reviews. We also have the Decepticon Pretenders down here. Skullgrin, for example, is another one that I have the deluxe for. Same with Bludgeon there. For the other ones, I really wish the same sort of thing, that I had, you know, like a deluxe to represent them outside of their pretender shell. Especially for Octopunch. Man, I just dig the name Octopunch. Come on, what's not to like? So that's kind of everything that's left small, and all that leaves are the big boys. So if we go back here and angle ourselves up, we have Jiang's Ultima Guard. That is my Omega Supreme. I'm so happy to have him. He is fantastic. Whatever Omega you have in your collection, honestly, I think you win. I think all the Omegas were great. Generations Metroplex. Now, to be fair, Metroplex also has 6-gun on him from the Siege line, as well as Iron Factory's turrets and manacle. And, of course, on his kneecap there, you can see Scamper. So he's pretty full. Then we have Combiner Wars Devastator with the PC07 set that really doesn't do much for Devastator, does a lot for the Constructicons. That was given to me by Starscream Wife as well. If we move across, we have the big bad Triptychon. Now, I've seen a mod where the legs were actually lowered and made him the height of Metroplex. It's an interesting idea. It's a little invasive. You need a metal rod for it, and you need to do a little bit of drilling, but it's definitely interesting. Nevertheless, when he stands straight up, I think he's close enough that it's good enough for me. Of course, he has full tilt on him, who has Necro, I think was the headmaster's name. Also, behind his head, we have Brunt with him, and then that brings us over to the last of my Titans, Fortress Maximus. Of course, we have Cerebros and Emissary there. Also, on him, in parts, is Cog. And I always wanted to have the, like, I don't know what you call it, the side of his tummy cannons that come out. You can do that with Cog. I showed that a long time ago. And honestly, ladies and gentlemen, that's it. That's everything I got. If you thought I had something else, either I reviewed it and it did not belong to me and it was on loan, or it has since been replaced and is no longer a part of my collection. That's it. Now you've seen currently everything I got. Few things coming in the pike, so this whole collection video will kind of be added to shortly with a few items, but generally speaking, this is it. You see the whole kit and caboodle. Probably smaller than some people would think, but for me, it absolutely makes me happy every time I look at it, and I hope your collection does the same for you. And that's it. Here we are. That's everything I currently own as of this recording. Now, there's items on the way, and there's things that I'm looking for, of course. Right now, I still don't have a hot link, though I might by the time this goes up. And I do have a couple of pre-orders that just aren't here yet. Such is life. I think a collection, anybody's collection, is always an evolving beast, and it's interesting to see where it's been and where it's going. Some people will say, hey, there's items that you reviewed on the channel, where were they? I don't have them anymore. Or I never had them to begin with, and it's only because people asked me to review certain things or were kind enough to give me certain items to review that I had an opportunity to bring my thoughts about them to you guys. Anyway, for now, there you go. That's the whole shebang. I appreciate you coming by, giving me some of your extremely valuable time. I do know how important it is to you. Please hit the subscribe button, stick around with us, have some fun with us as we go forward. All kinds of stuff up and coming. If you're in a position to help the channel to grow, there's a donate link down in the description. Don't forget, somehow, some way, each and every single day, you do make a difference. And I look forward, man, to the next time that you and I get together to have another visit, either in the live streams on Thursday night, at the stop motion premieres, or the old-fashioned way, man, right here inside the videos.